I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Hmm. Let's see if I can chat. Because I can't hear. Um, that's to unmute me.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yay! I can hear you.
Okay. I don't know. It was saying something else. I don't know what's going on. But I was just about to text you because it seemed like everybody that was saying they was coming or they was gonna log in.
Yeah.
Last minute, they just like, oh, not gonna be able to make it.
Oh no.
Yeah,
So it's just me and you?
just me and you.
That's
Me and
crazy.
you.
That's crazy. Where's everybody?
Yeah. I know Karen said she had her husband's birthday is today, so she's doing something
Oh.
with her husband. Then Tasha she said from the get go she wasn't gonna be able, like, once she able to, because I don't know, she was having issues getting into the book code link that I sent her
Oh.
neighbors. And then Rashida texted me yesterday, and I think she was trying to make it face to face, like actually come here. And
Yeah.
then she said she couldn't, but she said she'll try to get on here.
Oh, okay.
And she said she don't have nobody to watch her kids. And then Irene just literally sent me a message like 5 minutes. It was like, sorry for the late response, but I'm not able to come.
Oh my gosh.
And I sent her a message. I said, well, if you're not able to come, that's fine. But if you want to log in, here goes the link.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You know. And then she's like, oh, if you guys could read another book. But then everybody was like, they kind of did not finish reading the book either.
What?
Yeah, so
How? It was so good. It was so good.
I even told people, I was like, well, if you can't read a book, at least listen to it. It's 4 hours. It's 4 hours to listen. Because when I looked at the Spotify, when I listened through Spotify,
Mm-hmm.
Spotify had it for 4 hours and 20 minutes.
Well, I read it
I finished it.
from
I
my
like
library. Free.
and stuff. Karen was like, because I asked Karen, Karen's like, she went to the library to try to get it, and it wasn't. And I was like, well, do you have Spotify? She's like, she doesn't have Spotify. And I was like, oh, okay, do you have audiobook? She's like, no. Then I was like, did you have Kindle? She was like, no. I was like, well, maybe girl, I'm giving you every other places you can get this done with. Um,
Wow.
but I mean, we can still discuss it if you are up for it.
Well, yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready when you're ready.
I had some stuff. I look up some stuff because I saw the stuff that you sent. Um, but then I thought about it because the only reason I thought about, but not me, it would work for us because we actually finished reading the book. Um, because I was like, I don't know if how this gonna play out because when people kept texting and saying, "Well, I read some of it," or "I'm almost there,"
Yeah,
or
they can't really expand on some of those questions if they haven't really read the whole book.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did Chat GPT and I did it based on characters
Ooh.
to see if that, like, you know, at least is that characters where, so what Chat GPT basically did was break down each character and then have questions at the end of
Okay.
the breakdown. So let's see if we agree with some of the stuff that they say that they claim. They started off with Claudia, because she's the main character, of
Mm-hmm.
course. Okay, hold on. Before we get to that, how do you like Tiffany? how you like her writing skills.
I liked her writing skills. I thought she was good. I had to like remind myself where I am as I was reading. Otherwise, I would get confused, right? Because it
Yes.
was like the before.
I got a lot
The
of confusion
before.
with the title. I had to learn not to listen to the title because every time I
Yeah,
listened to the title, it was confusing because then I'd be like,
yeah.
okay, are we in the future? Are we in the because then you know what really got me confused was the before. The before. Every time she did the before, I was like the before from of what? What are we beforeing about?
Yeah.
I think if we
It
would
was
have had
1
dates,
year before the before. I was like, what?
yeah, I think if we had dates, it probably would have been it would play off better for me
Yeah.
than the before of the 1 year before the before or the before this or the 1 year. It was
The
just too much.
after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like it was or the before the after or something. It was like the titles get right. I loved the May, June, April. Those I loved.
Simple, easy. Yeah.
I love those. I
Yeah.
did not like the other titles. The other title had me very very confused. So at the
Yeah.
scale of 1 to 10, what do you got?
So as far as her writing, her actual writing, I give her a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it was really well written. The only thing I didn't really like I said, was the organization or the naming of the chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Because after a while of reading, it came to me. I was like, okay, this is okay. Keep in mind, this is the after. So
Yes,
you just had to be cognizant of
I think
what you're
towards
reading.
I think towards the end it kind of like clicked. Like once
Yeah,
everything started to get revealed, it was like, oh, okay. Now I see where this was. When was this and when was this and when was this?
right, right.
But in the beginning,
Because
yeah,
you don't even know, you don't even understand really much about the after and the before until there's the discovery of
mhm,
why there is the after,
yes. Because
right?
you
And
know
then
what was confused about the after was I feel like the confusing part of the after was the fact that um she was still living in the past.
right, and it was
Because
like the only that's what I said. Once I read it, I literally had to go back and reread certain chapters with the understanding of the titles, the after, before, the before. We're like, what? Okay, now I understand. Because it seems like she's moving through everything in the same space with no after, because she's not acknowledging the after.
mm-hmm.
So to me, I was just very confused. And then once it was that aha moment of, okay, now we know why Monday's not coming back. And then we know why she's stuck, because she's not accepting the death. She remembers the death, but then she forgets the death. And then all these people are playing along with her. So, okay, now this is why it's the after, and
Yes.
the before, the after, and all the weird titles.
Yeah, that I will. But story wise of this book, scales 1 to 10. I you know what? I will give it an 8.5. And the only reason I gave it an 8.5 is because of the confusion in the title and then the annoyingness of I know she's the main character, but the annoyingness of Claudia. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but that's why I would give it an 8.5. But other than
Mhm.
that, I like the writing skills. I like where how she explaining took her time explaining the feelings of each character. Even when she did the switch between one thing I did love, I love that one chapter, I forgot what chapter it was, when she spoke on behalf of Mondays, how Monday saw everything.
Mhm.
What happened with the death of her brother and how she was so anxious to tell somebody because she didn't agree with it. I like that part because it gave us like a little glimpse of how Monday saw the things. And I like also the part where she describes they read a little. I wish they would have read a lot more of the journal, but I did
Mm,
like a little bit that they did write about the journal, because I
yeah,
did
yeah.
the way they did it in the beginning when they wrote a piece of it, and they made it seem like that part that she read was talking bad about Claudia. So it was like it's the whole, which made it seem like that it made it seem like Monday's sister April was correct on how she thinks Monday saw Claudia
But that
as,
wasn't it. Yeah,
as
yeah.
a like a is like a sorry little puppy who needs to be dragged with each other, attached to each other. But then when you got later on to the book and you actually read some part of the books,
Mm-hmm.
know that actually Monday was she was happy to have Claudia in her life.
Yes, yes,
She
she
was
was.
she was happy to have that type of friend who understand her, who wanted to see the best in her.
Yeah.
Um, which I like the misconcept. Like, let me give you a little piece where it can misconstrue you of how they see things, and then actually reveal that no. And like, and I will see it as also as any best friend. You sometimes you have those relationship with your best friends where you are um everything is good, everything is great, but you have just misunderstanding, and in that moment that you have that misunderstanding, you might, if you writing in your journal, you're writing what you're feeling in that moment.
In that moment, yeah, and I think that that was a valid response because that was a huge burden for Monday to not only do her own work and be, top of the class because she was a good student,
Mm-hmm.
but then to also do somebody else's work, rewriting papers. Can you imagine how, and then on top of that with all the stuff going on at home, the abuse, just everything,
even
the
when
secrets,
even
the
when
living a double
april
life.
even when April revealed, I did feel bad when April revealed that she was saving up money to she was applying and getting the help, whatever she needs to get for Monday, because she saw the potential in her sister. I would say this. Do I believe that if we would have went April route, right, when she was talking about how I signed her up, I did the applications for her to go to a better school, to go to a better place. Um, and then she turns and she says, and then you came. The question is, let's say if we take Claudia out of the equation and we go April route where she was able to do the application and Monday did get accepted to the school and she was able to put Monday in that school, in that route. Because I think April was doing more of, she wanted her to go to a school where she could better herself, but also
Mhm,
move her from the home. So then all she had to worry about was August and Tuesday, and then get them in the right path. Because I feel like April had a good heart in everything. I,
mhm.
she just got messed up with life. Life is life. And
Yeah,
I think her even when she says stuff like she just needed to give me a little bit of more time. She
yeah.
just needed to like I needed a little bit more time to figure this out. Even with all
Mm,
that say, it was like April was moving them in the right time. And um I think it was an obsession among each other between Monday and Claudia. Monday was obsessed with Claudia because she saw what Claudia had that she never had.
mm,
And April made that reference. April made the reference by saying, once she started being around y'all, she saw what family really looks like. And that's what
mhm.
she wanted.
Yep.
Which to April means like, I wanted to be able to blind my sister, and only thing she needed to focus was on school. So I could able to get her out of the lifestyle that we live, and she would never
Mhm.
know that the lifestyle that she had was bad.
Yep.
Like, let me keep her eyes closed while I blindly guide her into the real world.
Yeah.
But you open her eyes before time. It's like you let her see the real world before she needed to see the real world, which is
Mm-hmm.
harder for me to guide her now, because now she's questioning my every move. Because if we tell the story between April and Monday, it seemed like Monday really didn't question April too much until it was like she got to a certain part of her life where she was just like, why are we doing this? Why is this like this? Why is this like that?
Mm-hmm.
Why? And April not really realizing she's seeing. I mean, don't get me wrong. And whether Claudia would have opened her eyes or not, so because Mondays was really smart. Eventually, she was gonna realize the life that we're living is not the real life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is not real.
Right.
She eventually is gonna realize that. I think in April mind, she thought she could control her sister to the point that she's not gonna realize it. And by the time she realizes it, you will be out of this place. You will be far away from here. You will be in a better school. You will be where you needed to be.
Yep.
Um,
But she couldn't. She lost control as soon as Claudia came into the picture, and she saw a different way of life.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like the obsession with Claudia is, unfortunately, it's one of those obsession is she's my only friend that understand me.
Yep.
Even even at the ages, that's why I think like it was easy for her mind to block the fact that her best friend died. Because if you even when you hear the conversation when she's talking, she says stuff like, why did she did this to me? She knows I need her. Why would
Mm-hmm.
she left me? Now it's her fault that they find out I'm like everything. She put everything on Monday, and like you said earlier, that is very her for a 13-year-old to feel like, I have issues at home already. I had problems with my mother. My dad doesn't want to see me. I have a little brother who, the way it's described, has um violent behavior,
Yep.
uncontrollable because they can't control it.
Yep.
So technically, all the girls was getting abused by the little brother, and they didn't know how to get help to control him, and which caused the mom to go above and beyond, and that's another, whew, you know. But and then you have a little sister who you have a big sister who's trying to protect you from the bad world, and then you also have a little sister that you also trying to protect in the bad world. So it's like a dominant effect. One trying to protect one while the other one trying to protect the other one.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
And then you come to school and you have a best friend who is the only friend who doesn't judge you for your clothes. Don't judge you when you smell bad. Don't judge you when your hair is not done. Don't judge you when none of that. But at the same time, she has a problem, a learning disability. And because you want to keep her close, you're willing to also put her issues on yourself. So now you're carrying two problems. You carrying the problems that you have at school, and then you're carrying
Mm-hmm.
the problems is stuff. And it was devastating. And for Claudia, for me, I felt like, even though she's the main character, I felt like this is when you know that there are some kids that are mature faster and there's some kids that don't mature faster, because you have this girl who is very mature for her age, who's trying to protect everybody around her, and then you have our friend who is not mature enough, who does not understand the meaning of let me protect you,
Mm-hmm.
or more understand the meaning of it's your job to protect me.
Yep. Yep. I said, and I picked up on that so early. How with Claudia, oh my gosh, she was just so naive. I mean, it made sense why, Monday had to keep certain components of her lifestyle secret from Claudia, because she just wasn't mature enough to be able to handle those things, like with the whole, when her and what's the guy's name that she was with, Monday's guy, um
Jacob.
Jacob. clearly I was like, oh, Monday and Jacob, for her to be that mad at Jacob, clearly they did something, right? I'm thinking that in the back of my head because she's wanting him, she's desperately wanting him to be like, oh, announcing this is my girl, right? Claiming her. And he would not. He refused, right? And she was so stuck on that. And I was like, clearly, like, she, and then I did judge a little bit. I was like, she doesn't have a parent that, monitors April. So clearly the mom's not monitoring her as well.
But you know what? Also, this is what I wanted. I questioned too. She looked up to April, even though everybody around her could see that April is not right. Right.
Right.
Monday looked up to April.
Yep.
To the point that they even said it. Nobody ever mentioned to Monday what April was doing. Everybody knew, but nobody ever confronted her until I think seventh grade, like went to that one girl, whoever her name is in the middle school, finally said it, like, oh, you're just like your sister.
Right.
But nobody has ever done that. I really believe Jacob, in a moment of weakness, I do believe he did like Monday.
Oh yeah.
I think it's one of those reputations that you have is her sister's the biggest hoe of the town. You dating her. What makes you think she's not a hoe?
Oh yeah.
So
He was embarrassed.
let me act like I'm the big bad wolf and embarrass y'all. Then embarrass myself. And for any girl, it's like when me and you are closed door, everything is cute and nice and pretty and sunshine. But then when you get around your friend, you don't show it. And I think where her was this, I may be wrong. I think she's seen her sister being used so much for different guys that she was like, I need him to tell me that he wants me and I'm his girlfriend. So I could prove to myself that I am not my sister.
I'm not April. Right. I'm not April. I'm not like her. I'm different.
Like, dudes want me. Like,
I agree.
Dudes want me.
I agree. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure, as mature as Monday was, that she was not as naive when it comes to April and April's behaviors. I don't believe that she was that naive.
So she even said it at one point when I think they went to the house and they was doing a boycott and everything outside, and April told her go like, oh, they want to evict us and all this stuff, and then April saw some boys and she looked that way, and then she like go inside the house, and Monday said, please don't, as if she already knew where the money was going to come from, because she was about to go do. Yep. And she just did not want that to happen. And in that moment, I also got annoyed by Claudia, because it's like, clearly you're not picking up that there is a bigger situation going on right now. These girls are really worrying about getting evicted, where their mom is 9 out of 10 drugged up, not paying attention, does not care. Because it seemed like everybody was out in the street trying to protect their homes, and you're the only one who was nowhere to be found. And they are really clear, like the way, April said, because the way April saw is, if we get evicted, they're going to find out that we're being neglected. Exactly. And if they find out if we're being neglected, then we're going to get separated. Exactly. So what can I do to protect that secret so nobody can find out? Because it already happened one time. They separated us, and I don't want it to happen again. So because in her head, she's like, in 3 days in 3 weeks. So I think it was like 3 weeks. She was turning 18 or something like that. So it was like, I just need 3 weeks to turn 18. So if I can protect everybody and I can keep it closed up, then when I turn 18, I can put in the paperwork to take care of my sisters and brothers. So what can I do? Well, what else can I do? I'm not in school. What can I do? And Claudia in that moment was standing out there, and Claudia was like, "Oh, you could come stay with me," and she didn't even say y'all can come stay with me. She was specifically saying you
Monday.
come stay with me, and it's like, girl, really?
Yeah, but she was too naive to understand big picture. Like, no, Monday doesn't want to stay with you. Monday wants her siblings to be good. Because at the end of the day, yes, she did love Claudia as a sister, but she also cared about her siblings
Mm-hmm.
to the point where she literally kept the secret about a whole murder of a sibling to
And that
ensure that they stayed together.
and that's and that's also even the same thing when it comes down to like with Michael. When Michael was like, "Yeah, my dad wants to come, wants us to move there and everything," she was like, "Well, why don't you just stay with your grandma?" It's like one of those things. Like every time somebody say they want to leave, she's not thinking of the bigger picture. She's like, it's one of those things. Like you have in your eyes, you have a perfect family. Your
Hmm.
mom is loving, your dad is loving, they take care of you, they do everything for you, and all
Hmm.
that stuff. And you you feel like other people having issues. Okay, they're having issues. Well, my solution is, well, my mom will help you. My dad will help you. You're not seeing it as you're basically telling this little boy to walk away from his mom and dad because he makes you happy.
Yeah, she was she was very selfish. Um, but not realizing she didn't realize it, but I saw her as so selfish. I was like, because she's only worried about herself. She's like, why, throughout the whole book, Claudia was a hot mess. I was like, why would she do this to me? And she took no accountability. She didn't pay attention to any of the red flags. And it was a lot of red flags. I was like, is that not concerning to you know what I mean? But she was just in La La Land. She was in La La Land, and she just was literally like going through the motions and not realizing like this girl was in need of some serious help.
Exactly. And look, well, I'm because I listened to what you said and I'm reading. I tell you, ChatGPT broke down every character. And I was reading this part where they would say the overview of Claudia. They say she's the narrator and the protagonist, of course. She's like before timeline is between the 13, which was, we were talking about the before, the after. They say before timeline is between her 13 and 14 years old, but the after timeline, she should be 16. Which,
Mm.
when you listen to the first part of the after, we still thinking that she's 13, 14. We don't realize that
You
she's
don't
16
know.
until later
Hmm.
on. They claim they say she has dyslexia, which we know that we find out later on. Well, not later on. We find out pretty much quick. Is she's shy? She only has one true friend, and her friend is Monday. And then she said the disappearing Monday forced Claudia to confront a lot who is she's without the best friend, how much adult around her are noticing or not, and what it means to advocate for someone when you feel powerless. Which that is correct. She went through all the emotion, and then they say
Hmm.
her strength and growth was loyalty in her loyalty to Monday. She was very persistent to find out the truth, even when everybody dismissed her. She begins to understand her growing. She begins to understand her dyslexia, her agency, and the limits of what she can control.
Hmm.
And then they say she was very dependent on Claudia. Claudia identity is tied closely to her friendship with Monday, making her vulnerable when Monday disappeared. Naive, I don't know how to say that word, but it said at times she accepts adore reassurance without pressing her to suit her, and then her fear of being alone. Losing Monday means losing her only real anchor. Now, I do believe that the fear of being alone, losing Monday means losing her only real anchor. Yes, and I feel like the
I
switch
think that word.
between
I think the word you were saying was naivete,
yes,
because that was the first thing I thought of her. But she's naive. She's
yes,
very naive, right?
yes. And this is the thing that I will say this about that. is, oh, sorry, I'm all up in my boobs. um, the crazy part about it is that the dependency between her and Monday was very uncanny.
Yeah.
And then it went from dependent on her to dependent on Michael.
Yep. From one to the
Because
next. Yep. I said, what in the world? She literally just hop on from one person to the next.
even when Michael was very, in the beginning, aggressive, I'm not gonna say aggressive, but very like, I don't like this. I'm not gonna participate in that with you. Like even when she was chasing April, he was like, I'm not doing that. You know, like he's very like on point. This is not what I want to do, type of thing. Even with all that, even when he stopped talking to her for a minute, she felt some type of way. She felt like, oh my God, why he doesn't want to talk to me? Why he doesn't? And it's like, girl,
she was a bit much. I mean, that's a lot. Even I said, Michael, he's a good dude to stick around. I mean, even though I feel like he had to take a break from her because of her foolishness. But I was like, that was a good dude to really put up with a lot because
he should have took a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
But one of the discussions that they put on here was, at what point did you empathize most with Claudia? And what point did you feel frustrated by her?
Oh, I felt frustrated with her. I think during that part where, she was starting to get exposed for her dyslexia, her delays. And she honestly was like upset with Monday. Like, when she kept honing in about how upset she was, I was starting to get a little frustrated with her because it was like no personal accountability. Everything was on Monday, and it was like, why can't she take ownership of that? Like, she's mad that Monday won't do her work for her. Like, she's mad, like, like, what are you really mad at? Because
the
you
frustrating
can't
part
do
of
your
her,
work.
the frustrating part for me was, sorry for cutting you off.
No, you did.
The frustrating part of me was when they sat there and that big old fight happened. And they beat the crap out of Jacob. And she's still not grasping the reason why people feel like she's a lesbian.
Yeah.
Like, she's not grasping. Because I will say this. Let's be clear. Me being around my best friend all the time, 24/7. Yeah, people might say, oh, y'all act like y'all lesbian, right? But the comment of it would not stick as much because probably things that I would probably be doing, outside of my regular daily schedule with my best friend. My best friend has a boyfriend, oh well. If I have a boyfriend, oh well. My best friend met her boyfriend or ex or whatever. I'm not going 100%. Da da da. I think what the reason why it's so stuck with them, that it was easy for people to be convinced of it, is because as much as Monday started having friends with other people because she started doing people hair and stuff like that, Claudia still wasn't making friends with nobody else. She wanted to be all over Monday, no matter what it was. And that makes it easy for a rumor to stick.
Yeah.
Because you're making the rumor true because of the consistency of what you're doing.
But it was a, because it was a codependent relationship. And, Monday needed Claudia, but the codependency was a lot worse on Claudia's end because she really needed Monday.
Like, she was mad that Monday wanted to be friends with other people and wanted other people to accept it. And she couldn't understand, like, and don't get me wrong, as a friend, yeah, you'd be like, girl, why do you care so much that people accept you? But at that age, when you're in seventh grade or eighth grade, in that age, you you do want people to accept you. You do want
Mhm.
people to see you different and stuff like that. Because at
Yeah.
that age, your hormones is starting to work appetite. You start
Mhm.
to realize, like, oh, I got boobs, I got this, I got booty, I got that. What did you know what I'm saying? At that age, you start to look at boys in a certain way, like, okay, he was
Mhm.
ugly in sixth grade, but for some reason, eighth grade, he's starting to look a little bit cute. You know,
Mhm.
you
Yep.
start to see things different. And even like, I think was it the book or was it April that said it, where she made the comment of, you still want to play with Barbie dolls,
Mhm.
and Monday is already, and I'm not there no more. Like, she did not understand the difference.
There was, like I said, there was definitely a lack of growth when it came to Claudia. And I think that's that upbringing, because you got to think about it from two worlds. I remember one of my friends, she reminds me very much of Monday. And then me growing up, very, very naive and sheltered. And I think that Monday, of course, didn't grow up sheltered. She grew up and had to grow up fast because life was just much harder. Trying to figure out, how to pay bills, trying to figure out, um, how to navigate life when you're lower income, and having to do for yourself because your parents don't really, you just have that one parent, you don't even have that another father involved, and so you just don't have as much. And then you have Claudia, two parent household, both parents make decent money, and she's very sheltered. So to me, real life worldly things, she's just like, she's able to still be childlike, right? Because she's not exposed to all that stuff. So it kind of makes sense as far as like child development, the difference in people that grow up in certain environments, how that could really, play into what kind of character you are in terms of your naivete, your you being sheltered, and then this person on the other end who has to grow up super fast. They're exposed to so much when you live in the hood. You see a lot more living in the hood, and I was like, dang, but that really puts stuff in perspective, why Monday is how Monday is. And Claudia is so naive.
Mm-hmm.
She's just so
Because I think
she's childlike.
the only time I only time I would say that I really empathize with Claudia was when they fought, when her mom and them realized that she was dyslexia. That was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then the next time I empathized with her was almost to the end of the book, when she realized that Monday was dead and was been dead for 2 years. It started to come all around, where she's having the episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and this was the episode. Like, basically, the book was an episode,
That episode.
a
Yep.
long episode with no, like, it looked like with no ending. And that was the only time I empathized that with her. But other than that, I was frustrated the whole book, because I was like, girl, if you don't leave, like, and before I even realized that something had happened to a Monday, I was more like, girl, if you don't leave Monday alone, you the type of
Yeah.
friend that I probably tell my kids, watch out for that one. like,
Yeah.
watch out for that one.
Yeah.
And it's
But I
because
do. But I do think too, had she not done all that stressing about Monday, because it was because of her
that they found out what was
that they
happening.
discovered. And I think, because she's going through this episode again, in the discovery of trying to figure out what happened to Monday, because she forgets and she has these episodes. But at the end of the day, if it weren't for her and her persistence, then there would have been no discovery, or would have been a late discovery, because obviously the people was getting put out. There was nothing they could do. They would have ended up finding, what happened. But I think that her having leaving those little breadcrumbs to people, like mentioning to school staff, mentioning to her mom, going over to Monday's house and speaking to the mom. I think had she not left those breadcrumbs, Monday probably would have been long forgotten by everybody,
Well,
because everybody just
not only would
they went checking.
not only would it be a forget, but also April wouldn't have that courage to move that body, because there ain't nobody. I mean, they didn't say it in the book. Did she move that body? But for you to find that body over there by the river, baby, that means that she went and moved that body. Because even with the mom say, when you hear the audio of the mom, and the mom said she don't even know how she ended up in the fridge. So April took that, and then that also worked on April's mind. And I think that's the reason why April, after everything, she was still acting up, because she felt like she should have been punished as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She
It's
felt
true.
like she should have been punished for her because she didn't tell the cops. She helped cover up the body
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
stuff. One of the questions, I'm probably not gonna ask all those questions, but one of the questions that they asked, I think that we probably we saw the development between Claudia, was they asked, how does Claudia change from the beginning of the book to the end? What external and internal forces drive that change?
Mm. So her change from the beginning of the book, I think, was obviously it's coming from the perspective of a younger child, that she's vulnerable. And I do see by the very end of the book, um, she, to me, she did grow up. She had more life experiences, and which was hard because you're no longer in school, so your whole world consists of going to a one tutor who's
Mm-hmm.
your math instructor, your interactions with Michael, and then you're starting to make these new friends. So had it not been for those unique opportunities, I really feel like she would have been stuck, because I do feel like she was extra sheltered, really extra sheltered. But I think those unique situations and those interactions with those people did help her to grow and have these new experiences that otherwise she wouldn't have had, because she's homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
And homeschool kids really, to me, lack social skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which I do appreciate Megan. At first, I was questioning Megan in a way. I was like,
Yeah.
what's her? But I do appreciate her, because one
Hmm.
thing that I appreciate about Megan is Megan knew the situation. Megan did not like out there, put it out there like you're something's wrong with you. She did put it out there, but she left crumbs to get
Hmm.
her. And I think Megan, for me, I think when they was like, oh, the episode started, and then basically the way it sounded like it started when she went right back to ballet. I think when she was with everybody else, she was able to cope. She was able to move on with herself. She was going with the emotion. I think when she started going to ballet and hanging out with the other friends, it triggers back the episode.
Hmm.
I feel like when the episode trigger, I think Megan, I would say more Megan, because her mom is a nurse. I think when the episode trigger, I think her mom and everybody else probably told Megan, as soon as the episode trigger, you gotta let somebody know. What I feel like happened, and I mean, we don't know for sure because that's not in the book, but I think what happened was Megan saw that the episode started, but instead of reporting it in, she just left her little crumbs.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna push you all the way in. Like, I'm not gonna throw you all the way in there, but I'm going to give you little crumbs
Hmm.
to get you to where you need. Because you see where we brought clothes for you. Mind you, if I'm a person that I know this girl is sheltered stuff, I'm not gonna bring extra clothes for you to change. I'm not gonna I'm not doing all that. I probably
Hmm.
wouldn't even try to sneak out the house with you in there because I don't trust you. I don't know what you're gonna tell your parents because you're so sheltered. But the
Yeah.
fact that Megan was like, bring the extra clothes. We're gonna get her to put on makeup. We're gonna get her to do this. We're gonna get her to do that. Then they went Then when they went to the party and Michael confronted Megan, and Megan was like, how long are we going to continue to do this? It was one of those things, as Megan was like, at the end of the day, she has to know the truth. And if everybody around her is doing this, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that around her, it's gonna she's gonna continue. And every time she gets around other people, it's gonna trigger. I think
Yep.
at the end of the book, she started to realize what was her trigger, and she started to realize how to pull back.
Yeah.
And for me, that's growth. When you know, when you can pinpoint your trigger and pinpoint when to pull back and get back to those things, I think at the end of the book, she started to realize what triggers her and what does not trigger her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the best thing that anybody could do for her, was to get her, force her to live that life.
Right.
Because I feel like if Megan would have reported it to her mom, to Claudia mom, say she's having an episode. Because I'm gonna tell you the truth. If Megan never had confronted Michael and told him, how long are we gonna continue to play this charade, I believe Michael would have pulled the plug and told her parents, like, she's
Mm-hmm.
having that trigger yet. I think the fact that Megan kind of told him that, I think he made him reflect, and then he decided to, like, you know what, let me play along, but as I'm playing along, give you the crumbs
Yeah.
so you can see it. That's why he didn't have no problem going all the way to Baltimore, and so that, because he realized what Megan was saying was true. How long
Mm-hmm.
are we going to continue to play this game?
Yeah. Because I said, "Ooh, they really," and I'm kind of mad the mother even allowed that. Like the mother was kind of like telling people, like, just play along. Like what? The mother, I feel like hinder her,
Horribly.
because who who allows who allows the child to be walking around thinking whatever happened never happened. Like I would correct you at every turn. No, Monday is dead. I mean, yes, it's gonna hurt, but yeah, Monday is dead. We know this happened.
The only thing that she did right, and I feel like it wasn't that she did right because she wanted to do right. I think she did right because the school basically told her she had to do that, was remove her from the school and put her in homeschool.
Yeah,
And
it was too much.
I don't think it was a decision of the parents. I really believe it was a school. And the only reason I say this because when you see her talk to the principal, and the principal is telling her that her child is dyslexia, mind you, I blame every faculty member in that school with that, because there's
Girl,
no way in hell you're telling me that you noticed that this girl is not able to read correctly and stuff, and y'all didn't think y'all needed to report that. It's
that
crazy.
had me hot because I was like, not only did the school system fail Monday, because they just was real lackadaisical about what child is missing Monday. Oh, she probably just making excuses, but they also failed Claudia because Claudia writing samples was crazy. And her delay in doing, assignments or whatever quality work she was turning in, and then them, you know, instead of just saying, "Oh, I don't know, Banneker's the right choice," tell the girl the truth. I don't think that it would have hurt to have addressed this earlier. But why? But why avoid it? Because you got to. The teacher told me she had a wedding. She was focused on the wedding. She had other things. She was focused on, like, this child is over here. Now, mind you, she's supposed to go to high school and she could barely read. She could barely write. It hurt my heart that they failed her in every aspect, every teacher. And why is it that they're waiting until right before high school until they have these discussions like, oh, we think there's something wrong? What?
And
Girl.
that's the crazy part. Like, that's what I say. I blame every faculty member for that. But I also feel like, as a parent, I know not every parent wants to listen that their child's having learning disability. Not every parent wants to hear that. Like, I don't hope and pray when you call me and tell me I need to talk to you about your child academics. You telling me that my daughter is unable to comprehend what she's writing or comprehend what she's reading because she's not able to form a correct verb or correct adjective, and she's writing letters backwards and not able to address it and all this stuff. And no parent wants to hear that. But as a parent, instead of getting defensive, I feel like the mom in that moment at a time should have sat there and listened. I think she was so more hurt. And not any parent would have been hurt.
Yeah, she was. Oh yeah.
Any parent will be hurt because what the hell you mean that my daughter's about to graduate from middle school to go to high school, and you want to tell me that my child is having a learning disability? Where was this a year ago? But also, you're telling me as a mom who you said your child helps you in the kitchen, who said your child helps you when you go buy stuff. You said your child is always with you at all times. You never noticed that your child was unable to read?
I said, wow.
Like, she goes to Bible studies with you. She's part of the music. She was part of the dance thing for the church. She was part of Bible studies stuff. You telling me nobody at church was like, "Hey, your daughter's unable to read a paraphrase"? Even when they chose her to be the person to read the scripture. I mean, at the end of that, she did pull at the end, but in order for them to choose her to read a scripture in there has to be that they heard her read.
That's why I was like, ooh.
I said, so
everybody failed.
When did you it can't be like now when I go to school and talk to Aaliyah conference, right? And the teacher said like she's amazing when it comes down to schoolwork, homework and things. Aaliyah is amazing doing that. And then if they say something like, oh well, her testing scores are kind of difficulty. But I know that. Like, and I'm able to say, yes, I do understand that. The reason is because she gets a lot of anxiety when she has to take a test, and it blocks her mind of what she's supposed to be. But as a parent, I was willing to sit there and listen to a teacher to tell me what she also believes is wrong with my child and why she's not able to pass a test. I'm not saying that every teacher and every principal and every person that is at school is telling the truth about your child, but one thing you can do is listen to what they're saying, understand what they're trying to say to you, and then react to it.
Yeah.
Whether you're mad, frustrated, anything, because I would have sat there and listened to everything. And then I would ask the question, so when did you realize that she was not able to do this? Because I want to know why it took y'all so long to call me to tell me about this. The good thing about, I will say that the only thing I'm glad that I love what the school did, as much as we want to criticize them of all the other stuff that they did wrong, I'm happy that they did it at the beginning of the school year.
Yes.
I am happy about that.
Girl, because give her a fighting chance.
I'm happy about that. I'm happy that the principal saw evaluated it, saw what it is. He even said it. He said once she's in this class, she will be able to pass, because the way they see it, it's not a major issue to hold her back. It's just something that they can work with her and fix.
Right.
Which I feel like this. If you're able to work it out and fix it, that means you could have worked it out a long time ago and fixed this. But okay, correct your error. I give you that. But I love the fact that they did it in the beginning of the school year rather than letting her go all through the school. And then right before high school, you tell them we are not able to let her graduate. Or if she do go to high school, she has to take special classes in high school.
Right.
And then that will be another confusion, because like, what do you mean that my child has to take special classes in high school? For what reason? What is the reason that she has to do that? So, and that part, I do appreciate it.
But I do think it was because I think, obviously, I don't know what kind of work they was doing in class, but, as far as homework assignments was going, we know that Monday was helping her out a lot. So I don't know how the teachers was able to be like, well, you do so good on your homework, but your classwork is horrible. Make it make sense. It was horrible, but I'm glad that, without Monday being there, her writing samples, they were able to really see what was going on. Not only that, she couldn't read and she couldn't write, but the reason why. It looks like dyslexia, right? So I'm glad that I do agree. I'm glad they was able to pick it up. I'm glad they was able to identify early because Lord knows when we saw the writing samples, we did see the progression, but we saw it. We saw what it was looking like, and we was like, "Woo!"
Now let me tell you this. This is a side note. Remember when the teacher explained to her why she didn't say nothing, and she said this and that. Now, she was already kind of starting to fall apart from Claudia, right? In
Yeah.
the beginning of the school year, she was all about Claudia. And then slowly and surely, she started to distance herself. This is just me, because I know this, they didn't say nothing in the book about this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the English teacher from 8th grade, because I think I honestly believe that's who reported her. Do you think that the English teacher from 8th grade confronted that teacher?
I do.
Because if you notice the demeanor of her from the beginning of the school year, and then like the first quarter, because they was only in the first quarter when they realized that she had an issue.
Mm-hmm.
That teacher started to like fall back. She didn't, once she started getting help and stuff, that's when she started being more involved, and that's how that's why everything with Monday affected her too. But in the beginning, when she was like talking to her and all this stuff, it was like she was so happy to see her, and then slowly but surely, it was like she was distancing herself.
Yeah.
And I feel like I do, because teachers do talk, and I know
Oh
any teacher,
yeah.
she probably went up to her and was like, "Explain this to me," because
How did it? Yeah.
because
How did we get here?
because
Explain how we got here.
and the only reason I feel that was the issue is because of the fact of they said that the 8th grade teacher was one of the toughest teachers in there. People
Mm-hmm.
was struggling in that class.
Yep. Yep.
And even when she told her, she's like, "Yeah, I don't like her because I struggle in her class and this and that." And she said, "Oh, she means well." That's what the teacher that she was talking said. "Oh, she means well by that."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what makes me think that teacher probably, because the fact that she said that every student didn't like her because she was too straight and she was very on point, and all the other teacher was basically seeing her as like, no, she means well by it. It's nothing, like, there's nothing wrong with her. I feel like
Right.
that teacher went up to her and was like, "Yo, let's have a conversation about this student, because I know you had her last year. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I just can't say that only you notice it. It can't be that only you notice it. Other teachers notice it. It just looked bad on you. Because if as me as a teacher, if I was a teacher and you was a teacher, and I end up getting one of your students from last year, and I notice they have a disability. I suspect, because we don't know. We
We
didn't,
don't
like I
know.
said, we don't know.
Right.
I suspect that they have a learning disability. And I see that you're very close to that student. At one point, I'm gonna be like,
Let's
so
see.
are they having issues at home? Is there a reason why they're doing the F backwards? Is there a reason why the G look like a Q and Q look like a G? Like, tell me, how can I help this? How can I help this student be better?
Yeah,
Explain
because
that to me.
I'm pretty sure there was some discussion. I'm pretty sure there was some conversations had because it's like you can't mask that you can't read and write but for so long. Like you're going to be exposed.
Because the fact you felt it all your classes, the fact that she was like, I felt it all my classes. At first, I would say this. At first, I was like, maybe the Monday thing was very getting to her. But
Mm-hmm.
then when you read the part where the principal's like, she's writing her letters backwards, she's not able to comprehend. I was like, wait, hold
When
up.
they went into the depth, because it was like, the thing is, what had me super upset was, that's why I said, the only reason why the girl was even thinking about help was because she wanted to get into Banneker. So she's working on writing, and it is like, the girl did her research. Tiffany, the author, did her research, because it is difficult to get into Banneker, right? You have to do those entry essays. They only pick the best of the best from the local middle schools, right? So you really have to shine before you are admitted into those schools. That is true. And why is it that they're just not saying, you're probably not going to get into Banneker because, you're at this point, she was failing every class, and the only thing, that's what I'm saying, the only thing she knew she was failing, the only thing she was focused on was getting into Banneker and working on this essay. And I'm like, girl, you beyond that essay. Like, you need help. Because I'm looking at your writing samples and your little journal, and you're supposed to write an essay to get into Banneker. Like, I was just like, what? Where's the priority? It just didn't make any sense. It made no sense how that was the only thing she was focused on, is to get into this school. Yes, she's failing every class. She can't write. She can't read. I said, this is just crazy. And the fact that people passed her along as if nothing is wrong. Wow.
Yeah, that is the most. That was crazy for
That
me.
was wild.
I think you will like this one. I'll give you this one because I think you'll like this one.
Okay.
If you were Claudia's mentor or friend, what would you advise her to do differently, if anything?
Go to therapy. Go to therapy. This would have resolved so many issues had she gone to therapy at the very, very, very beginning of the whole Monday situation. Now, obviously, the mother did what she did, not realizing that something was really wrong with Monday. But when you find out Monday was murdered and how and where she was found, put the girl in therapy. And nobody thought to do that until years later. She didn't do therapy until she was 16. So it was like so many missed opportunities. I would have been like, let's do therapy. Let's get on up in there.
Let's move to Monday, because Monday is I will do all the questions for Monday because that one is, I like that one. Some of the questions. What aspect of Monday's life do you think Claudia and we as a readers underestimated?
Oh, she underestimated a lot. Like I said, we already kind of touched on this one, but we said how Monday was more advanced beyond her years, right? So I think Claudia very, very underestimated every aspect of Monday and her development, her maturity, because it was like, I think that Monday could appreciate Claudia being childlike, just being a child, because Monday over here doing stuff with boys, and Claudia over here
Oh,
like
girl,
crushing over a kiss.
let me tell you about that. So when she kissed Michael, and she say, Monday kiss Jacob. And then she say, Monday also went down on Jacob. So let me go down on Michael. Like, what in the heaven and sake is going on? What you mean? Because Monday did that with Jacob, you needed to do that with Michael. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
As a child, that doesn't make any sense.
Because she wanted her and Monday's life to parallel each other. Like, we're friends, we do everything together. That was her mind frame. And it was like, no, you are your own person.
That's why I love when April finally turned back and finally, because the first time I was like, April, why when she confronted April in the school at the school ground, right? When April was over there getting tore down to the floor with that boy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, girl, at a basketball game, you go
Girl.
anybody can walk in. What's
She
wrong?
may need rent money. Who knows?
Um, but when you talk about that, right? And April was kind of like not wanting to say too much to the point where she even kind of shut up Michael from saying what he needed to say. When she was at that party and April turned around and April basically said, you wanted my sister to herself. You didn't want her to have friends. You didn't want her to talk to anybody. But now, now you at parties.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
you
She called her out. I like that. I was like, yeah, go ahead and call her out. Go ahead, cause she, yeah.
and as much as we in that moment we know that April knew in that moment 2 years has passed and
Yeah.
April has to sit and had to reminisce about what happened, how her mama killed her brother, how her mama killed her sister, how she disposed the body herself without her mom knowledge, how this little girl who is in her family, who ain't her friend, is tormented the hell out of her life, making it seem like she was the best of everything for your sister when you know that that's not it. You know, people looking at you in the neighborhood like you're the biggest whore in town. Boys don't respect you. People don't respect you. Nobody takes you serious. You're still trying to provide for your little brother and sister who is in different homes, because I think in that time they was already separate. Your little sister was somewhere else. She wasn't even with your aunt. She was, I think, in a foster home. So it's like you're trying to figure out how to get your sister back. You lost your brother, you lost your sister, you lost your mama, you lost everybody. And this little girl is keep walking around here and talking about where and constantly reminding you of your sister's death, because every time Claudia is confronting April, you're reminding this girl that her sister is dead, and because she knows your condition, she's trying her best not to hurt you.
Girl, I said,
Like April is only protecting you not because she wants to protect you, but she's protecting you because she knows how much you meant to Monday, and that's a way for her to still honor her sister. To go through all the emotion, and you're constantly coming out to her. Where's Monday? Where's Monday? Where's Monday? Where's Monday? What did you did to Monday? What happened to Monday? Why you keep lying to me about Monday? And that and that. And for you to sit here and then you get to a point that now you're sitting back and you're watching everything, and I see you're doing ballet. You hanging out with people in high school. A boyfriend. You're good now. Even though we know that technically Claudia is still not good in her head, but to April's eyes in that moment, in that predicament moment, in that particular moment, it looked like you got everything you want, and my sister is dead.
Yep.
Even though we know that the circumstance, it has nothing to do with you, it has more to do with the way my mom did and when my mom did to my sister. At the end of the day, you also is a reason why I have to constantly remember that my sister's dead.
Yep.
You are a constant reminder of that. And even when Claudia ended the book, what I don't agree with the way Claudia ended the book, where Claudia ended the book and said, we both was jealous of the same thing. And I feel like April was never jealous of your friendship with her. Even that when she even said that,
she was cautious of it. She wasn't jealous. She was cautious of it because she knew how close they were. That it was only a matter of time before she disclosed what was going on, and then the family would forever be torn apart, and the little brother, death would be everything would come out, everything would change. That's what she tried to avoid. And she said that too. She literally said, I knew that I knew, you know, my goal was to not get her to say anything. I
And
knew it would break the family apart.
that's the only part I did not agree about the book at the end, when she said
Mhm.
that. Oh, we was both jealous of. I was jealous of her because she wasn't my real sister, and she was jealous of me because I was the sister that. No, April was never jealous of you.
Mm-mm, she wasn't. I didn't agree with that one. I said that Claudia's perspective is off on that, and I was like, clearly she didn't listen. She didn't hear her when she said, "My issue with you is that Monday would have told you," because Monday was trying to tell.
Mm-hmm.
She just didn't. She didn't, but she was trying to. She was trying to tell the mom, my Claudia's mom, and she just couldn't do it.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Mm. When the novel finally reveals the abuse and neglect issue, how did that change your view of Monday's earlier actions? I
I
mean,
think it was,
it did change my mindset. Because in
yeah,
the beginning, I was
yeah.
wondering, like, Monday, why are you so obsessed with this boy? Why are you obsessed with this? What is going on? Then I was like, Claudia, why are you so upset? Let the girl live. If the girl wants to go, because and in the beginning when her mom was saying stuff like, um, sometimes friends, not the mom, the dad was like, maybe she just don't want to be your friend anymore. First of all, daddy, I'll slap the shit out of you, because the fact that you put that idea in her head is crazy to me.
Yeah, that was crazy work.
But I do agree in that part. Like, you have friends that eventually you don't want, you just not friend with them. There's a lot of
Hmm.
friends that you was friends with in middle school, and then you get to high school, you no longer friends with them in high
Hmm.
school. And almost to the end of middle school, you kind of like, especially when you know where everybody's going, like, oh, you going to this school, I'm going to this school, I'm going to that school, you going to this school. People start like pairing up with the people that they're about to go to school with more than the people that they've been friends for a minute. Because it's
They branched out.
because in their head it's like, well, I'm not gonna see you no more. So
Yeah,
look, let me start associating with people that actually gonna go to the same high school as me. So when I go to high school, I'm
I'll
not the
have
only
friends.
I have
Right, I'll
friends.
have friends. Yeah.
And and maybe that's the way the dad was probably trying to let her, like, try to kind of like ease it up on her about Monday. Like, maybe it's like I told Abby, I remember when Abby just got to sixth grade, and she was saying like how her and her best friend really don't be talking like that and things like that. And I say, well, now y'all are in middle school. One, y'all don't have the same classes together. She's in different classes than you. She's getting to know other people. Maybe she's seeing that she has more in common with other people than she has with you.
Hmm.
But it's nothing like y'all not supposed to be friends, because sometimes that happens. Sometimes
Hmm.
you click with somebody who has more thing in common with you than maybe that friend that you've been friends with for a long time. Because
Yep.
whatever reason y'all been friends for a long time, maybe it's the vibe. Maybe in one point in time, like I remember how me and my best friend T became best friends. We both like Trey Songz. We started talking about Trey Songz, and then Trey Songz came to town, and we went to a thing to go see Trey Songz, and then we clicked since then.
Hmm.
But there are things that she likes that I don't like, and there's things I like that she doesn't like. Um, it does not stop me from being her friend.
Hey, no. Oh, you're not sharing. Oh, just one. Okay. She gave me some candy. I was gonna take it, but she was like, just one. Okay.
Oh, but hey, baby girl. But it's one of those situations like that. Like, sometimes you have friends that y'all are cool in certain aspect in your life, and there's other things that you're not cool about.
Hmm.
It doesn't take away that of them being your friend. It's just take away that in that moment, that time of you going through, you're not seeing eye to eye. Now, I'm
Hmm.
not saying your friend should ghost you, because that's
Hmm.
never supposed to be there. That's one thing. If you say we don't have a lot of things in common, and you find somebody else in common with that you want to do crazy stuff with you, there's a whole other thing where you stop talking to me completely cold
Hmm.
turkey. Now, that's a whole different type of ball game. But
Mm.
Yes, her actions, from seeing the actions and then seeing, like I said earlier today, I say, the fact that, what do you call it? The fact that she saw what April was doing out there, how boys was treating her and things like that, was her section with Jacob. I feel like if there was another guy that would have came around and gave her the same attention and the same thing, and actually was willing to say, "You are my girlfriend," in front of everybody, I think she would have been away from Jacob. I think she just didn't have that guy to get her um that thing. And even April kind of hinted that Jacob was not the only dude.
Yeah.
She said, "Now, this is my thing with that. This is just my thing with that." Did you think that Monday decided to do, because April made a comment as saying that nobody ever said that she did anything with Jacob. Like, insinuated that she did do something, it just wasn't Jacob, it was somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
We know that April was doing things with the gang members for
Yeah.
extra cash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it didn't came out like that, but the way is written is
It's
like
insinuated.
insinuated that that's what she was doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they went to the party and she was the only girl that she went to the party with. I feel like it was supposed to be a pass around,
Yep.
and they was gonna make money out of it.
Yeah.
And probably give her, chump change
Mm-hmm.
for it, right?
Was everybody else was uncomfortable, but April. So clearly, she was in her element. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoa, that's wild."
But do you think when she said that, um, sh when she said that Monday did it just that it wasn't Jacob, do you think that Monday end up being in that lifestyle with April to help April with the eviction?
I did think that. I was like, I think April probably protected her from having to do that. But I wouldn't be surprised because, like I said, if she's willing to do whatever she did with Jacob, but the difference with Jacob is that she wanted him to claim her. She wanted it to be okay because they're in a relationship,
Mhm.
right? To publicly state that, I think that was the difference. I think she needed that to separate herself from April. But I'm pretty sure it was insinuated that
Because it was it April, or was it the mom that made a comment of, no, it was the mom. The mom, when she did when she was giving her confession, she said it. She said, Mondays was sneaking out the house. Random dudes was dropping her off at any time at night.
Mhm. Yeah.
So for me, we already know April was doing that automatically. So I feel like, um Monday started doing the same thing April was doing to help out.
Yeah. And to me, it was like it was implied. It was it was presumed, and I think that was why at the end Monday really needed to feel that she was in a relationship to I guess validate why she was doing whatever she was doing with Jacob, because she was tripping over that. I mean, she was like, when you going when you going to announce that we together, you know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what is this? What is the urgency for
Because
her
even
to
because remember when his friend got his hair done, and then the friend found out that he did something with Jacob. He said, "Well, that's not the service that I got," as if insinuating that people that was getting their hair done was also getting other things done with her,
yeah.
more than not just doing the getting the hair done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
But she was trying to make this money, right? Monday was about oh, I can do this and I can make money. So it seems like while, we see that April is doing what she has to do to make money. So I made that connection. Monday's doing what she has to do to make money.
At the
But
same
she has a
time,
different lifestyle. They're, living in low income housing. They're poor,
they're in a building
different
that
lifestyle. They be having
they're
eviction notices,
a building that the government is trying to take over to redo and
Yeah.
evict people from it. Um, was Monday disappearance inevitable given her circumstances, or could something have changed things? What or who might have made the difference? And I think we talk about that. I feel like if unfortunately, I don't, and it sucks to say that, but I already, like I said earlier today, if we would have took Claudia out of the thing and let April go through whatever plan she went through, I strongly believe that Monday probably would have still be alive.
I feel
Um,
like Monday didn't have an adult she trusted. And as close as um, we like to think Claudia's mom was to Monday, she wasn't a trusted adult.
I have a question. I just have a question about that. Do you think? Do you believe that because of Claudia's mom, Miss Charles did what she did to Monday?
Oh yeah.
Because remember when they was talking and everybody was saying that Claudia mom was the last person to see Monday. And in Monday's journal, she said that she was going to Claudia's mom, now that Monday is gone, to stay there for the summer. And she's going to tell Claudia's mom everything. And remember, Claudia's mom confronted Miss Charles. And then after that, Monday disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, literally, the book kind of makes you put two and two together without saying it. But as a direct result of what happened to um, Monday coming over to talk to Claudia's mom, but not really saying much, she did leave that seed of doubt to where Claudia's mom contacted DCFS.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, you don't see Monday no more.
What I did not like is the fact that she lied to Claudia and told Claudia that she never saw Monday.
Yeah, that was weird. But I feel like
And I was like, what was the reason to say that you
that
didn't
makes
see
no
Monday?
sense. Yeah, that makes like why deny that? Why? And I feel like in the back of the mom's head, she knows that there was a trickle effect because you honestly was the last one that saw her. She was wearing the same outfit,
That you saw her in,
which was the shorts that you bought your child
that you gave her.
and that
Because
your
that's what
child gave her to wear.
because that's what Miss Charles said. When Miss Charles went to pick up Monday from her house, right? After she got questioned by the you just said it. But after that, she went to pick up Monday because she knew where Monday was. And she said, "Oh, you gave her another pair of clothes." And then she mentioned, like, you think I didn't notice that you've been giving her clothes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things, like, it was like Miss Charles you know what I think with the problem Miss Charles is also that she had against Claudia mom is, remember when the neighbor was getting their ass whooped and Miss Charles say we should help, and Claudia mom was like, we should mind our own business and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, you know how it is one of those things, like, Oh, so now you want to mind my business?
That part. Mm-hmm.
Because when I
That
was
part.
saying that the person over there was needed our help because she was getting her ass whooped, you didn't think you should went over there and help her.
Mm-hmm.
But now you want to come over here,
And mind my business about
mind my
my
business.
child. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was definitely interesting because I thought that was wild too because it would seem like you care to only a certain degree. Like you care about Monday only because Claudia is pressuring you. But outside of that, I didn't find that they cared about Monday.
Mm-mm.
Because they made so many excuses. So it was like nobody was checking for Monday. No, except for Claudia. I mean, except for Claudia. She's reminding her parents, like, don't you think this is odd? Don't you think this is you? Can you please do this?
And then also you was like, oh, you should call
Her.
Tip. Like when she was like, oh, you should call Tip to figure out this stuff, that stuff. And the husband was like, well, we mind our business. We don't. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, but I definitely think I don't know if DCFS actually responded or not, or if the mother got hold of um the journal. Who knows? Who knows what exactly prompted because it's no it's a lot of like missing pieces. You don't really know what were the circumstances around that exact death, right? But we do know these breadcrumbs. The child did reach out to Claudia's mom, had a conversation with her. When she left, Claudia's mom admits that she even called DCFS, and then all of a sudden she's missing in the same outfit that she was wearing when they last spoke. I was like, yikes.
yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the last question about Monday. How does Monday story speak to larger issues of visibility or invisibility of young Black girls in society?
I think it's just the fact that people don't care about Black girls missing. That's the sad truth. It exposes that nobody's checking for them and nobody really cares. And I do think that as far as the media goes, that's true. But I do think that there's certain individuals that do care. Don't let them um or their memory be forgotten. Like Relisha Rudd. I don't know if you remember that story. Relisha Rudd was a little girl that her mother was very low income and she often frequented shelters in DC. And her mother allowed the child to go with the janitor. And this child ends up missing. I think she's dead. But the janitor ended up being like um a prime suspect because it was the child was last in his care. Now the mother made all these weird excuses like, "Oh, I left her with the nanny." Oh, I mean, it was just awful. And I think the mother just didn't want to be judged. But everybody was judging the mom like, why would you leave your vulnerable child with some random people you don't even know? You just know him to be the janitor and he seems safe, right? So, I want to say he committed suicide. So they never really got the answers that they needed about what happened to Alicia Rudd. But this was years ago, and she would be an adult now. And the Black community, has always, revived stories about her, like on social media or in the community. But nobody, news wise, I haven't seen a lot of stories about Alicia Rudd. And then the same thing with the actual story that this is about, and that transformed a lot of CPS policies and laws, was the mother, Michelle Blair, who actually did this to her children. I think the issue was that nobody was really checking for these children. So she actually could have got away with this because even the fathers of the missing children weren't checking for their missing children, and so it was like a lot of blame. So I do think that this mirrors a lot about what happens in real life. That a lot of times people aren't checking for these kids, and they do end up going missing. It's only a few, very few people that remember their names and speak their names and post it, here and there on social media. But they're not big enough on a larger scale to where it brings about that national attention that it deserves. Black girls, people of color, they just go by the wayside, and it's so crazy.
Yeah. I it's weird because when you hear like even now we get messages through Facebook like so and so is missing. If anybody hear this person, find out this. The neighbors.com, the app that I did the group in, it's
Mhm.
constantly somebody sending something in there saying somebody's missing. Um, and when you hear this stuff and then you hear like the sheriff, for some kids, it seems like they can find the kids right away. Oh, they was down the street at their friend's house. And then there are some other kids, I mean, Hispanic or black kids, for some apparent reason, it takes them weeks or 2 weeks or 3 weeks to finally find them. And it's like, are you guys really looking? Or you guys go knock on a couple of doors, and after the doors, and nobody say nothing, it's like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. Um, and it's devastating. But when it comes down to like this book, it's just like it shows um the lack of school, the lack of teachers, the lack of parents, the lack of the police, the lack of CPS, all of them. Um, where the school job is to report when a kid is not registered, especially if there's no change of address. If there's
Mhm.
no change of address, then why is the kid not registered? You're supposed to report that to see what's going on. Because even if you are homeschooling your kids that year, you're supposed to still let the school know, I am withdrawing my child from the school because they're homeschooling.
Mhm.
Because they also have to, from my understanding now, I don't know back then, but I know nowadays when you're saying that they're homeschooling, there are some questionnaires that they ask you to reassure that they are really getting homeschooled.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like what program are you using for homeschool? Is it you're going to be homeschooling it, or do you have a teacher that's going to homeschool it? If it's a teacher, are they certified to homeschool your kids and things like that? So it's like there is nowadays, because back then there used to be a lot of kids who their parents would say my kids is getting homeschooled,
And they
and there's
weren't.
no record of the kids getting homeschooled whatsoever. And those are the ones that we was finding on the fridge, inside some fridge or
Yep,
in
on
the
the milk
basement,
cartons, right? On the milk cartons, we would see it.
because supposedly the parent or the uncle or the grandma came and say, oh, I'm homeschooling my kid, and there's no record of them homeschooling their children.
Yeah,
So nowadays they have a lot of different methods of things. You just can't say I'm homeschooling my kids because I want to. They like, okay, what exactly are you doing to
exactly.
homeschool and things like that. Some school even go as far. Not every school. I wish every school does it, but not every school does it. But some school even go as far as getting social workers to go check their home.
Yeah,
and
Prince William
and
County, I know they do that. They get this the school resource officer and the school social worker will go out to the home to do a check. And I like that. And then the CPS side, one of the laws that they put in place, this wasn't even always the case, which is crazy, but for CPS, the law is now that if a parent fails, if the school feels like a child is missing, and they call the parent, and the parent says, "Oh, I haven't seen the child," and then if the parent has not filed a missing persons report through the police, then it can be reported to the CPS as physical neglect, inadequate supervision.
which is good.
So that's a good policy
That's a good
because
policy. Yes.
at least, as an agency, the parent is being held accountable. Because
Hmm.
we keep seeing time after time in these cases where the parent has killed the child that they don't report them missing. they just make up excuses. Oh, they're with the babysitter. Oh, that, they make up these excuses, but then they don't report the child missing. So it's normalized that the child is missing. Like Rudd's mother, she didn't report to the police right away that the child was missing. Everybody kept on asking her, because they're concerned, especially at the shelter, where's Relisha? Where's Relisha? Where's Relisha? And the mom was like, oh, she's with the sitter. Oh, she's with, and then all eyes came on her because it was like, well, why didn't you report your child missing? If you knew that you hadn't seen your child and you're saying your child's missing but she was with so-and-so, why didn't you report her missing? So I'm glad that they now made this a law, and this is all across all the states. So that's a good thing that the actual real life case and these cases brought about change in policy. So that's why I like the components of this book. I like that it touched on the real life cases that we did see happening, with the kids coming up missing and then later found out to be dead, who also had CPS cases. And so it was like a breakdown of
and that's crazy for me. That was another thing that was crazy to me, because they say that a year before that, where supposedly Claudia supposedly Monday had a flu, right? And she was gone from the school for 6 days or something like that, a week from school.
Mm-hmm.
And then found out that it wasn't because she was sick, it was because CPS had came and removed the children from the home and gave it to the aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And well, not give all of them. I think the aunt only took the two little ones, and then
they were all separated.
April and Monday was separate, went to teenage homes and things like that.
Yeah.
And that would make April wanna force more to do what she got to do to reassure that she do what she needs to turn 18 and able to take over her sisters and stuff like that. But even with that, when you say that when April said I had to force my mother to go take parenting classes in order for her to get the kids back, and then they gave the kids back, and now one time CPS or the police or anything did a checkup, from my understanding, even if they give you your child back, I think it's supposed to be at least 6 months or up to a year, where they're supposed to constantly do a routine check on you, and you have to show, and within that you're capable of being a reach, and to find out that they didn't even do those type of thing, and or when
there was no checking it. So now what they call it is reunification. So that was my job when I was in Kentucky. So no, sorry, Oklahoma. So in Oklahoma, they didn't have the funds. The state didn't have the funds to create a new reunification unit, right? Because that was just, that's a lot. So they did a contract, and an agency did a grant so that they could take over the reunification process. So my job was to go into the homes of families that had DCFS involvement and had their children returned, and do face-to-face visits with the mom and all the children, or the dad and all the children, whoever was the abuser, to make sure that transition is going smoothly, and then would type a report, and the report would go back to the state. So that was my job. So that was the first time that I saw those changes starting to happen and these new positions created. Now, most positions have funding for reunification workers. So they do like a trial period. It still falls under foster care. They don't necessarily call it reunification all across the United States. But that's one thing I'm so glad that these cases brought about, because a lot of times they would just drop the kids off and be like, okay, y'all are done. Y'all finished your plan. You're done. And these kids would be like, we ain't good. Like, they did the class and everything is still the same. Nothing's changed. So yeah, I'm glad for the policy changes. And I think that's important, to recognize the flaws within the state, but you got to make the change. You got to make the corrections within the state too. And we had the ability to see the kids away from the parent. So we didn't have to just do home visits. We had the authority to do school visits. We could meet them at camp if they were in summer camp. Like we go where they go, right? To make sure, like, do you feel safe at home? What's it like? What's mom like? What's she doing when she gets mad now? How does she discipline you? It's all these detailed things, these reports that we had to type. So yeah, I'm glad about the legislative changes that they put in place that all states have to do follow up. Because really these kids, it's scary that, a parent would do something so crazy to their child to the point where they got removed from the home and then they go back into the home and then bam, they expect things to be great.
Now, I have this question. When you hear the confession of Miss Charles, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that they let they put that in the book.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's just crazy, because I think in the audiobook they actually use the actual confession tape in the audiobook.
Mm.
Yeah, I think because the voice that was on there was not the same girl that read that was reading. I think they actually used the actual audio of the confession.
Mm.
But the crazy part of it, right, for me was the way she described the killing of August. And she says that he was hurting my babies and I couldn't allow it, as if the only babies for her was the girls and not him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was aggressive. He would
Mm-hmm.
bite them. He would beat on them, and I couldn't allow it. So one day he came and he bought, and which is funny because it was Monday who he, no, it was Tuesday that he bite, because I think that as much as she was upset that he bite April and Monday, what really ticked her off that he bite Tuesday. And when he bite Tuesday, that's when she was like, I couldn't deal with it anymore. So she held him down and she beat him until the part where he wasn't breathing no more.
Mm.
But then when she describes Monday, it sounded like with August, it was like a remorse, like she was telling the story, but she was like remorseful with it.
Mm.
Like he had a defect that could not be solved. And
Yeah.
she needed to choose between his sickness and protecting her kids. And she
Mm-hmm.
chose to protect her kids.
Yeah.
But then when she talks about how she kills Monday, it's anger, it's
Mm-hmm.
irritation, it's frustration. It's
Mm-hmm.
it was like like it's like one of those like I'm happy she's dead type of
Yeah.
moment. Like the fact that I put her in a closet, I kick her in there and it's stuff. Like I don't understand how she ended up in the fridge. She could have stayed dead in the closet for all least I care. It was like that anger and that frustration and that hate. And I'm sitting here like, what was
Yeah.
the hate?
And I think she literally was trying to, in that part. That's why I was like, um, she's trying to mirror the real life story, because in the real life story that she mirrors with Michelle Blount was, um, she had no remorse, none. She thought her kids were evil, and she was like, well, that mom, she was like, not only were the kids like, physically aggressive, but she thought they were sexually abusing each other. Like it was like a lot of child on child sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And so then she felt like the children were evil, and it must have been like um possessed or something, because what would make them do something like that so perverse.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said to protect the innocent baby, she had to kill them, because she was like, so she did. The first one that got killed was the son, and then the daughter got killed, and then that daughter helped the mom put the child in the freezer. So like I'm telling you, the stories are so similar, and so I felt like that's what aha. That was the aha moment for me. Like, oh, she's basically saying, with this real life story, what happened to the friends that were involved in her life, the teachers that were involved in her. So she's kind of painting the story around what about the other people, not necessarily the victims, but the other people, the friend, and painting theirs and giving their story life. Although, it's happening, I think this one happened in Chicago or something. This story happened in DC, but it mirrors each other so much. And so I was like, when I tell you she nailed it, when she was like, that lady, she basically was just like an evil parent who had no remorse. And she's like, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad they're dead. That mom, Miss Charles, mimics that woman, the real life woman in her confession. That was
Mhm.
crazy to me.
Mhm.
That was like,
That's what I say.
chill.
That's what I say. I with the boy, I'm not gonna say she was remorseful, but with the boy, it was like she had like a better. She made it seem like she had like
She had no choice.
she had to
She
make a
had to
decision.
protect.
She had to make a decision,
Right.
protect or let him continue to do what he's doing.
Yep.
It's still not justifiable,
Mm-hmm.
but the way she explained it is like, okay, it doesn't make sense,
Mm-hmm.
but okay. Because if you had to pick the best of the evil, you pick you pick one. You already pick one. Got
Mm-hmm.
it. But then the part where it was not remorseful is the part when she got to Monday. It was
Right.
like you really, it's like you hated this girl. Like,
Yes.
what is this girl did to you? Because when the way April describes Monday is as she was a good kid. She loved her sisters. She loved her brother. She's smart. She's intelligent. She deserved to be better than where she was. She needs to be in a better school. She needs to be in a better place because she's a better person.
Mm-hmm.
April blamed Claudia. And I think this is the word Claudia confused it as a jealousy. April's brain blames Claudia because she feels like Claudia was dumbing Monday down because because April saw. Unfortunately, I don't know why people like using words stupid when it comes down to this stuff, but April saw what everybody was seeing with Claudia. You're not as smart enough, and unfortunately, it's one of those things that where you're seeing, like, you know how they say when you start hanging around with certain people, you start acting like certain people. Like, I think April felt like the more Monday hangs with Claudia, the more Monday is gonna act like Claudia,
Mm-hmm.
because April saw Claudia as not being as smart and intellectual as her sister.
Mm-hmm.
And you're dumbing like, she felt like her sister was dumbing herself down to please Claudia.
Yeah. Yep. But I pulled up what the mother said. She, from off the rip, she was like, her voice was calm, level, and smooth as silk, detailing the way she murdered her child. Like the way you talk about a boring Sunday afternoon. Monday was a fast ass little girl from the day she was born. Got boys coming up to my house looking for her and shit. I even heard her messing with girls too. And then the last portion, she says, I ain't sorry for what I done. People been making excuses, talking about this and that, but I know what I did and I ain't sorry.
Yeah, and that's what I said. The way she spoke about Monday was horrible.
Horrible.
But then if you read the paragraph before that, and she's explaining about August, it's not even in.
Oh, it's totally. No, yeah, you're right. It's totally different. Totally different.
It's a whole different. It's like two different people. It was
Mm-hmm.
like August had one killer and Monday had a different killer.
Yep.
So, but I'm gonna let you go because I know you're not feeling good.
All right,
This,
Jake.
this was amazing discussion.
It was very good, very good, very good book. I'm glad. I'm glad that everybody agreed to read it, even though they didn't read it. It didn't show up. I'm glad it was chosen because I really, really, really was excited about this book. I can't wait to see what's next, though. I'm excited about what's next.
Alright. Did you have any book in mind that you was like intrigued?
So I think so. I'm gonna look back at the books we chose or the books that people brought up. But I'm gonna take a deep dive again and see what TikTok recommends first, and then I'll let you know.
Let me see if okay, because I'm on Shop Books. You know me and Shop GBT, we best friends. Okay, I said based on my book, and Monday's not coming because those are two books that we have reviewed so far.
Mhm.
I what they recommend, and they say that's a great a thoughtful question, especially because both your novel Love Diamond shares deep emotional core, silence, betrayal, truth telling, womanhood, and the cause of being unseen. Which that was crazy because I didn't even think of it like that.
Yes.
So they recommended Grown, another book from Tiffany D. Jackson.
Okay.
Uh, it fits Monday Not Coming. It's a raw, unsettling center on a black girl whose voice has been silent by manipulation and fame. Um, just say the discussion theme for that could be what does survival look like when the truth costs everything.
Mm.
They recommended An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. They Hate You, give by They Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Um, they say if you want to explore healing, forgiveness, Yellow Wife by Sadega Johnson.
Okay.
Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. Oh, that sounds like a love stuff. And they also recommend if you want more mystery and emotional depth, which we all love mysteries.
Mm.
Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. I need to talk to Tiffany D. Jackson because I need to know where her mindset is going with this books. Uh, Allegedly is a dark psychological and filled with unreliable narration about a girl accused of killing a baby.
Mm.
But the truth is very in silence.
Mm.
Listen, look at how it mirrors my book with guilt, secret, and motherhood on the
Yeah.
screen.
Mm.
And then another one is We Are Not Like Them by Christine Pride and Joe Piazza. And The Mother by Britt.
Okay.
It gave me 10 recommendations, basically. And the last two recommendations, if you want reflective poetic follow-up, they have one that called Salvage the Bones, and the other one is Vanishing Half. So I think I'm gonna take the two that we had put already on the poll that was
Mhm.
not qualified, which was I think it was uh let me go in there look.
The
The
Kamala
Kamala,
Harris.
yeah, and then the other one that we say that in order for us to do it, we need to do the first part because we will be lost if we do the second part.
Right.
Right. And then I'm gonna send you this list that I just read, and so you can see what um ChatGPT described them.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm gonna let you, because you did pick a good one. I'm gonna let you pick the third one so we can put it on a poll
Okay. Cool.
and
Cool.
see
Cool.
and see what people say. Now I'm telling you, we got two more books of Tiffany. We got two books in here that Tiffany has wrote that sounds like it's good.
Okay.
Grown and Allegedly.
Okay.
I don't know. It's I don't know if the name is catchy or the way ChatGPT described how the book is. But yeah, I'm gonna send you that and see what you think,
Okay.
and then we can put it on a poll. And I think we can aim for the first. We can aim for the first week of the first Saturday of December, which is the 6th.
Okay.
Hopefully, this time people actually read the book.
She did put her next book on there. And the actual book is Let Me Hear a Rhyme by Tiffany Jackson. So I did read the little intro to that one, which I thought was pretty good. So to me, she's a pretty good writer. But that wasn't my genre. You know, you got like a genre that you like. So I was like, it's good, but that wouldn't be for me. But yeah, I'll definitely check out what other books she has too, and then whatever list you send me, and then do some research and see what would be a good pick.
Okay. I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, baby.